Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined as always by my good buddies Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael have debated and deliberated with each other for, 3 or 4 years now here on the Mount Rushmore podcast. And I happen to know they have a lot in common, despite the fact that they're at odds on something. And this episode is about something that they have in common a little bit, in that they love Halloween. And the episode is titled, I Love Halloween, but, meaning there's some stuff about Halloween that we don't absolutely love, or is a little bit extra. So that's what this episode is about. Michael chose it. Michael, you chose it. Why did you choose it?
Well, one very specific reason. It will be my first choice when we get to it. But
okay.
I think often with the things that we do love and hold dear to our heart, there sometimes also is just like that, the things that either go wrong with a certain something, or that kind of like remind you, this thing is also kind of awful too in a lot of ways, but you love it in spite of itself. I don't know. I think that there is just, Halloween is so universal. Not speaking of you, Jeff, wearing a Dracula outfit, that I think that there are so many things that are so great and wonderful. And now, especially now that I have a kid, and Richard, I think his life every fall kind of gets taken over by Halloween too, as well, for his 2 kids, and his wife, who are just so into it. But when you love something so much, there's other things that just kind of creep out, not in a zombie out of the crypt way, but as just like a, oh my God, this thing is awful.
All right, so my first choice is, I love Halloween, but your costume is not as clever as you think it is. And I think this is especially true when it comes down to pop culture related Halloween costumes. Sarah and I, before we had kids, we would go down to West Hollywood every year.
Yeah. For
the big West Hollywood debauchery. But I don't know what it's officially called. But you would see, depending on, the really bad thing is, depending whoever died that year, you would see multiple costumes based on that person's death. So I remember multiple Steve Irwins with stingrays, barbs sticking out of his chest. Or I remember seeing a John F. Kennedy Jr., someone dressed up as him the year he died.
Oh, wow.
So those are in poor taste just to begin with. But just as a general rule, I think the more pop culture-y sort of Halloween costumes tend to be misses for me. Because I want a classic Halloween costume. I'm looking at you, Jeff, removing your Dracula cape right now, and I'm loving that. There's just something great about someone just in a Dracula outfit.
Yeah, I love the old school stuff.
Yeah, the old school stuff is sometimes just the best stuff. And for my family, my wife, dresses up. We have theme Halloween costumes every year. One year it was Amazon creatures, another year it might be, usually it's animal related. And I kind of dig those because, look, everyone loves dressing up like an animal. It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's classic. And you're not going to look back at those photos in 5 years and go, wait, who was I dressed up again? I was dressed up as Polly Walnuts from The Sopranos. I did that? Really? All right.
Well, this one is actually on my list too, as the hot costume. Not like a sexy this or that, but like the cringeworthy one-off gag costume that will be irrelevant. But one, I've totally fallen into that trap myself in 2003. I went dressed up as Roy Horn, as being slashed by the White Tiger, and my ex was dressed up as Manticore, the White Tiger covered in blood. And that attack had happened like October 3rd of that year. And 20-something days later, there we were. And they're just, the funny thing is, like, people think that, how many people are going to be dressed up like speaking of tigers, like the Tiger King guy
Oh God.
Yeah.
Every spirit of Halloween is sold out of those costumes at this point.
Yeah, as I'm sure it's listed as like regal tiger tamer or something, so they can get around any sort of
Joseph Tiger.
Large cat prince, tamer. But yeah, it's funny to look back and see things, and as you said, that are just like poor taste. Just like
my big pet peeve is the sexy pun costume. The guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
It seems, I don't know if this is more. Women tend to have the sexy version of the non-sexy thing, the sexy minion costume or the sexy stapler costume or whatever. But guys are like, guys have like the Dr. Huge Erection, where it's a doctor costume with a boner underneath, the lab coat or something like that. So
hold on, I'm writing this down right now.
Those just peeve the hell out of me. It's like,
well, my second choice is Spiderweb Decorations, and I don't get it why people can't get this right. We've been doing a whole lot of walking around the neighborhood, as we all have been during like this kind of COVID-19 outbreaks, and Felix just loves to look at decorations. Every new house, he's got memorized what's like on their porch, what's in the tree, whether it's the witch that's slammed into the tree or the witch feet sticking out of the ground or whatever. Yeah. But then you see the people and they just start putting up like the spiderweb stringy stuff and like these big globs, and they haven't like stretched it out. And I'm just thinking, man, make just a little more effort. Do you just give up? Is it that hard? It's great to see like tombstones. It's great to see like all this different silly stuff that you can buy. Although I, kind of similar to my I kind of ranted about cosplay costumes that are looking too good.
Yeah. Back
in episode 110, the Mount Rushmore of look. Even as a nerd, I think this is absolutely awful. So maybe these two topics kind of go hand in hand. But
you're saying they're too good or they're too bad? They're too bad, right?
No, that these store-bought store-bought decorations are a little too good, and I kind of miss. I think that there's an element of just like I kind of miss people making their own tombstones and making their decorations. When you see like the same ghouls and things hanging from every fifth house, you're kind of like, I get it.
Yeah,
but
the same Home Depot thing that was it's an air inflatable thing that pops up. Yeah,
but Spiderwebs, man, just fix it.
Do you see that? It seems like some people will put up a spiderweb and then they begin with the best intentions and they realize they haven't seen a nature documentary in long enough time ago, and then just stop. How hard can it be? A bug did it, and then they go, "Oh no, this is harder than I thought."
I think
where's that? I
think there's an idea that they set out that it's going to look like Charlotte's Web, and then they do the first one and it looks like crap, and then the second one still looks like crap, and by like the fourth one, that's when they, to your Michael's point, they've just blatantly
they bail on it.
They bailed on the whole concept. Yeah.
I was thinking about spiderwebs and cobwebs and stuff the other day. It seems like
hell yeah,
they're the thing that at the beginning of the horror movie scene, the intrepid adventurer or idiot high schooler going into the house or into the cave or whatever pushes their hand through. That would be the end of the movie for me. That would be the end of the story for me. I would say there was a spiderweb, so I just left. I'm not going to touch that spiderweb. Okay. Manfredi, your second one.
My second one is I love Halloween, but I can't carve a pumpkin to save my life.
I can't either.
And
Richard.
Yeah.
Also on my list.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Oh, and I am surrounded by artists in my family. Artistes in my family. Yeah. Sarah is very good at it, and Vivian is very good at it, and even Simon's starting to learn. And I cannot. I have, I can't draw, so I'm at a disadvantage there. Mm-hmm. And if I get two triangle eyes and a jagged mouth, I feel like I'm doing good. And actually, and by the way, I should point out, I am actually a little bit scared of carving pumpkins. I had a friend of mine in middle school
Oh, I love
who
this.
was carving a pumpkin with one of those like safe pumpkin carving knives, that aren't supposed to be able to do any damage.
Yeah.
And managed to cut a tendon on his pinky finger.
Ugh.
And to this day,
Ugh.
he can't like close his pinky finger all the way to make a fist.
Oh God.
Oh, that's wild.
That's a real Halloween horror story for you.
Wow.
Tell that to your kids.
Pumpkin carving is like bowling, where I stop and go, how hard can this be? Like, I fuck this up every time.
Yeah. Yeah, and
You
it just makes you feel inferior about the whole thing.
Lately, I just grab a Sharpie and just say, nobody's going to look at this shit anyway. So I just like draw the eyes on there. Yeah, and I start off thinking I'm going to carve some intricate thing. Like, it's Donald Trump going up in flames. And then it's like, then I just settled for doing the jack-o'-lantern face. And then I fuck that up because getting one of those symmetrical is hard.
That is exactly my reason for choosing it, is that having these best intentions. And I think it kind of undercuts my first point about the spiderwebs.
Yeah.
Was that you go in and you're thinking, okay, so I'm going to do these really cool teeth or maybe these flames. What can we do that's never been done on pumpkin before? And then you're just sitting there and like you said, it's got the two circles and the triangle nose and the big gap tooth smile. And you're like,
oh, yeah,
good enough. And then even that looks terrible. I'm just going to put this out there. I think carving a pumpkin inside is gross. I hate the pumpkin guts. Yeah. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
We end up buying those decorative gourds, the bumpy ones or the weird shaped ones. Like I kind of like to adopt the Charlie Brown tree version of the pumpkin, the ugly pumpkin. And those are impossible to carve, so we don't even carve them. Just kind of sit them out there. The one dude, I wanted to be an artist until I got to ninth grade, and I met this kid, John Neal. John Neal was so good at every aspect of visual art or sculpture or anything that I just broke my pen in half because this guy was like so. And then I realized I was drawing so I could show it to other people and get praise for it. Well, there was no praise that was going to come my way anytime John Neal was at our school or in the world. And then lost touch with him forever. And finally he shows up on one of these Halloween shows as the master pumpkin carver. So here's a guy who knows how to do that. John Neal can do anything with art. So are we at our halftime?
Yeah, halftime and then some.
Oh, spooky ooky Halloween episode. Not our first. It was our second, I think.
I think we've done three. I think we've done three so far this year.
And I think it's nearly dead. The discount code that we have at the Classic Horror Shop.com. And if you type in MR 2020, you're going to get a discount on your purchases there. So be sure to take advantage of that. That's the only thing we've ever offered our listeners other than our love and affection. And to be on our show if they wanted to. Speaking of, you could come on and be a guest on the Mount Rushmore podcast if you want to get into the social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and suggest a category. You could come in and do us a solid and participate with us in a taping of a podcast. We do it via Zoom, so you don't have to get close to us. You can be social distanced from us. And you would also do us a solid if you went to download, rate, and review past episodes. We got a couple Halloween episodes recently, so if you came by here based on a Halloween hashtag or something like that, you could listen to some more of our Halloween output. We're back with Richard's third choice.
All right, my third choice is I love Halloween, but I'm doing this for everyone, you guys. My family has turned me off of it when I was a kid.
Oh.
My mom enjoyed Halloween so she could eat candy at home with the lights off and the TV in another room away from the living room so that no kids would come and knock on the door. We were one of those families that did not hand out candy after 6 p.m., maybe 6:30. My mom's theory was that's when you would get all the little kids and she was fine with handing out candy to like the real little kids. But boy, after 6:30, that's when you get these, dude, being my mom here, these teenagers showing up with mustaches and beards and asking for candy, and get out of here. I don't need any of that. So literally, we would hide. That was my Halloween when I was a kid. After I'd get done trick or treating, come back to the house and hide from the other trick or treaters.
Was there any alcohol involved in it at all?
No, there was not. Not for me or my mom.
Oh.
Not even those like little alcohol infused chocolates.
No, or not even like those little travel size, airplane bottles. Which could be good for giving away for a Halloween, but we didn't do that.
Were you out trick or treating yourself?
Yes.
And you had returned to see that the house was dark and not celebrating.
Yeah, and it was always sort of like, well, other families do it. If no one did it, then there'd be no trick or treating.
Yeah.
But my mom just didn't like people, so.
Seems like a holiday special, like the house that Halloween forgot or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did that, this isn't therapy, but were the other holidays that way?
Thanksgiving was great. Yeah, Christmas my mom tolerated, I think.
Yeah.
She would always threaten to turn on the fireplace so that if we were bad, so that Santa wouldn't come down.
Oh.
So that was always fun. But
you're bad, but he's dead.
He is now has 70% third degree burns. No, it was mainly Halloween was the one where she was a real grump about. And I never quite figured it out, other than the fact that she, again, would always complain about teenagers going out for trick-or-treating. Like you should care. If a kid's 15, 16, and they're out there knocking on doors at 9 o'clock at night on Halloween, guess what? There are a lot of high school kids doing a lot worse on Halloween than that.
Yeah.
You should be so lucky that that's all they're doing.
Yeah. Do you think there was an era in which the trick actually happened? Because when I was, from my childhood on, at least in the realms that I've traveled in, there was no trick. It was always just the treat. There was no pranks and broken glass or So I imagine there's some people who think of a curfew being the thing that will prevent the mischievous tricks from happening. But I've never seen anybody do anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not like she was trying to avoid that.
No, nothing like that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, Winfield, your fourth one.
Well, I love Halloween, but what the hell is happening with like office costume contests?
Oh.
I'm so glad to be working from home this year.
Yeah.
I'm so glad not to be part of this like parade of people in from all walks of life, in all walks of handmade and store bought, and just the like indignity of like having to work in an office like dressed as like a pirate and then have to interact with people or whatever.
In a meeting, like in a conference room.
And like, I have made great efforts in like in work settings to do my best and like try to win some part of like the costume contest. And many years I have, not to toot my own horn, but I did. But the years that I never know who's going to win. I never know what people are voting for. I never know what things people find funny. And like, it's not like you're amongst your peer group, so you understand like the person's, like when you go to like a party with all your friends, like, okay, I get what I think I understand what my friends are doing. When you're in the office, it's just weird.
Yeah. Are you talking about like you may, some small amount of you might be interested in having a popular costume or a winning costume, but it's the pop culture territory is so diverse and so distorted and so skewed towards
or is it more the lowest common denominator?
Yeah. It's that, or it's like my company would also do like group costumes, so you could like ruin like a group award. So like whatever, the accounts payable department would all be dressed up as the aforementioned minions, and it's just like, ugh, what's going on? And then they're all like terrible, and there's like I just hate it.
Yeah, I do find it the intention for anybody who's listening to this podcast for the first time. Yes, we're being a bunch of bitchy assholes right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure, yeah,
100%.
That's actually the costume. My costume this year. It's just bitchy asshole.
We do know that Halloween is super fun and it's for everybody to kind of enjoy. Also, we're the guys who helped ruin kickball too. So if you can take a grade school game and ruin that by scrutinizing everything and judging everybody, we got experience. But I kind of understand it. I was looking at this. I was just watching this interview with young Stephen Morrissey of 25 years old or whatever, and here's a guy who's just been
talk about it.
Bitchy asshole.
Bitchy attitude. They're interviewing about him as his school, and he was saying everybody there was absolutely horrible. Each day, everyone was beaten within an inch of their life. Everything I ever did was scrutinized and criticized, and I just would love to see this guy walking down the hallway and seeing people absolutely ignore him, but in his mind, he's the
I'd also like to see what his Halloween costume would have been about, in 1978 or something like that. He's the only one dressed as Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah,
can't understand why no one else gets it.
Yeah, I do. I feel that same thing when I go to in the past where I've gone to sing karaoke, and I think, well, this song will get him whipped into a frenzy, and absolutely, Secret Agent Man is something that nobody needs to hear, and they're going crazy for the latest, I don't know, the latest WAP or whatever it was at the time. But yeah, now do you find like you want to kind of have your finger on the pulse, but you feel like you're gone from it, or you don't even want to be on that pulse? Like, I don't want to be a minion no matter what, so I don't care.
Yeah, I think my natural inclination is to shy away from like a group costume anyway. I found that the best thing that you can dress up as in an office situation is really something that is just recognizable and cartoonish. Popeye, good. Super Mario, good. Those things are just infinitely recognizable. Dracula, good. But like once you start to get too clever, people are like, "Oh, what are you supposed?" And then you've lost it. And then you have to explain your costume.
Yeah.
And
anytime your costume has to be explained, you've run into deep waters.
One of my peeves is the pun costume. Like, puns are already kind of a marginalized form of humor, but I know some people who are just trying for that pun, and I guess that's kind of a little bit of originality there, but. I don't know.
I mean, if you think that like serial killer is like the world's greatest costume, and it's like a bunch of cereal boxes, with knives through it, we get it.
Yeah, it is a dichotomy. I think if anybody who's gone out to a sports bar, you look around and realize that this is the NASCAR nation that we live in. This is the Miller Lite dumbed down world that we live in, but then you're there for a certain aspect and you're having a great time, you're drinking, having a drink and just enjoying it, and that's the point, right? That's the point.
I was gonna say, I like NASCAR. I like NASCAR. Miller Lite. What are you trying to say here, Jeff? I feel very angry right now, and I don't know why.
Let me put my Dracula costume back on.
Yeah, please do.
Well, dudes, okay, so
I've got one more.
You got one more. Lay it on.
Yeah, don't short me.
I won't short you.
You're shorting me.
Oh, no way, man.
Way.
Okay. I'm not even listening. Whatever. I gotta write these things down. Okay.
Yeah, you should start taking notes or something, Jeff.
Office Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. What you got, Richard?
All right. So my last one. I love Halloween, but the walk home is hell when you're doing the trick or treating.
Yeah.
And especially when you have a younger kid, they crap out. Like, they go from super excited about it to I need to go home now, like that. And inevitably, you're about 5 or 6 blocks away from home, and you're wearing a costume that's uncomfortable. Maybe you've got walking shoes on. Maybe you don't have walking shoes on. Certainly, the kids are at this point, all they want to do is go home and get their candy and get loaded up and stay up for a while. But they're exhausted at this point. The sugar rush has not hit yet. And they're bitching at each other. It's just, if I could get an Uber to pick me up for those 5 blocks and just take my family home, I would be in heaven. But that's not the way it works. And you end up having to do the Baton freaking death march. That's what the final 5 or 6 blocks feels like on your way from your neighborhood back to your house.
Feels kind of like the walk home or the drive home after Disneyland. Like,
yes.
At least, oh god.
Yeah, especially when you're like more than an hour away from it, and like everyone's crashed, or even the walk to the parking lot from Disneyland.
Yeah,
that also feels like the Baton Death March a little bit, and this is very similar to that, I believe.
Mm-hmm. There's something very almost like Prom, because you get so dolled up. You might be wearing character shoes. You might have like makeup smeared on your face, or some kind of like awkward, ill-fitting elements to your costume, and you gotta hoof it. That's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's no fun for anybody. It's no fun for. It's like takes all the excitement out of it for the kids. Mm-hmm. The parents are kind of starting to bitch at each other. No, you hold the bag. No, I don't want to hold the kids back. Kids should be holding the kids back.
Yeah.
Just be done with it. And we're hungry. Everyone's hungry because they haven't had dinner, probably because you're waiting till after you get back from trick-or-treating to get your pizza or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And chances are the pizza's not going to come for an hour because everyone else and their mother is ordering pizza that night.
Yeah.
So the whole thing breaks apart at the end of the night. It's just,
and you get back apart. And your mom has the lights off. She's got the candy in another room with the lights out. She's watching TV.
Terrible.
Well, guys, we
did it. We did it. We ruined Halloween.
Halloween. Despite of all this, well, the good thing is we don't have to deal with any of that shit this year. We have no idea what you're gonna do this year. Hey, Jen and I are gonna watch a circus, not on Halloween, but Thursday night. Spooky Halloween circus. I'm excited about that.
Oh.
Okay, so wow. So pumpkins, point. Costume non-cleverness, costume, point. And because it had a weird, almost like a Tennessee Williams kind of feel to it, the story about Richard and his mom coming home for Thanksgiving, there's like an O. Henry, or like a weird Gothic thing to that.
Like Steinbeck wrote it or something?
Steinbeck, yeah. And so I call that short, it's a short story, it's called Candy Curfew.
Nice.
And your mom's named Candy or Candace in this story. So there's something about Candace. She wants candy for herself that night, or something like that. I think there's come see me after class. We'll talk about the illusions that could be in there. And I thought Office Halloween was really pointed. So I kind of
like a steak that kind of pointed.
What are you talking about? I never drink wine. There's so many one-liners in Dracula that I forgot how corny. I never drink wine, and he just grins like he said the funniest thing in the world. Oh, stop it. What were you gonna say, Michael?
I'd like to flash back a little bit to our first season that we recorded together, way back, and we released an episode on November 3rd, 2016, before the election, about Mount Rushmore fictional elections. And I remember feeling so cock of the walk, just mocking Donald Trump, just championing Hillary Clinton. And boy, do I feel exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that hopefully when we record next Sunday, let's do an election episode, but we don't know what the topic's going to be, but let's try to do something about that.
I love elections, but
Nailed it. Thank you, Richard.
you're welcome.
I love voters. If you haven't voted, go out and vote.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Just vote.
That's my Halloween costume. Guy who did his ballot early.
Yeah, that's a good
That'll
costume.
be yours too.
This has been the Mount Rushmore of Richard. You say it.
I love Halloween, but
As always, I'm Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.